My 29 female, husband, 31 male, got a paternity test on our daughter, 5 female, and it came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. What do I do? The salt from my tears has dried in a sticky, tight film on my cheeks, but I can't bring myself to get up and wash my face. The world has ended. It ended this morning at 7:43 a.m., standing in our sun-drenched kitchen, the scent of brewing coffee and blueberry pancakes, our daughter's favorite, filling the air. It was in that mundane, beautiful moment that my husband, Mark, the love of my life, looked at me not with love, but with a chilling, hollowed-out devastation and said the words that shattered our universe. I'm not her father. The crumbled piece of paper was on the counter between us, a sterile, official document from a lab I'd never heard of. The result was a single, brutal word. Negative. I don't know how it happened. I haven't been able to stop crying since. My sobs are silent, hiccuping things now, muffled by the pink, unicorn-covered duvet of my daughter's bed. I never cheated. I need to scream it from the rooftops, to carve the truth into my own skin so he can read it. Mark is my everything. We met in a crowded college library, two stress-out sophomores reaching for the same obscure economics text. His smile was a flash of lightning in my predictable world. He was handsome, kind, in a way that felt deep and unshakable. And he saw me, really saw me. We built a life, brick by painstaking brick, a life of inside jokes, of supporting each other through career changes and family losses, of lazy Sunday mornings and passionate, connected nights. Yes, there were two other people before him, two brief, unremarkable relationships that belonged to a girl I barely remembered. They were before. They have no place in the after we built together. There is no other potential father for our daughter, Chloe. The math is simple. The timeline is absolute. We were already married. Our love a solid, celebrated thing. We were actively, joyfully trying for a baby. The night we conceived, we celebrated his promotion with cheap champagne and expensive dreams. I never cheated. I never would cheat. The very idea is a physical impossibility, like breathing underwater or flying to the moon. And I don't know why he took that stupid, clandestine test. I didn't even know such a thing could be done without my knowledge. The betrayal of that secret act cuts almost as deep as the accusation itself. Because I would never, ever betray him. But the paper says otherwise. And now, the man who held my hand through childbirth believes I am a liar and a fraud. He thinks he is not her dad. How do I convince him it's a faulty test? How do I fight a ghost, an error, a statistical anomaly? The fear is a living thing coiled in my gut, cold and sharp. These past few months, a slow, insidious frost had been creeping into our home. The man I married, the one who could make me laugh until I cried, was receding, replaced by a stranger. He became cold, suspicious, his eyes constantly scanning me for clues to a crime I hadn't committed. He started demanding to see my phone, his requests abrupt and unexplained. At first, baffled, I handed it over, my heart pounding with confusion. Is everything okay? I'd ask. Just want to see the weather, he'd mutter, scrolling through my messages with a furrowed brow. Eventually, the violation became too much. I won't do this anymore unless you tell me why, I pleaded, my voice trembling. He just stared at me, his silence an accusation in itself. The worst part was the distance he created with Chloe. He used to be her human jungle gym, the master of silly voices at bedtime. Now he'd pat her head absently, his gaze distant. He'd retreat to his office for hours on end. The click of the lock was a sound that made me flinch. I didn't know what he was doing in there. I now know he was falling down a rabbit hole, a digital abyss filled with whispers of strangers confirming his worst fears. This morning, the dam broke. He did the test, he confessed, his voice flat, after I realized Chloe's eyes are brown. Two blue-eyed parents can't make a brown-eyed baby. It's genetics. It's impossible. The pancake batter sat congealing in the bowl. I want you to get out of the house. The air left my lungs. I couldn't form words. I just shook my head, a frantic, desperate motion. He didn't push it. He just turned, walked to our bedroom, and locked the door. The sound of the bolt sliding into place was the sound of my heart breaking. So now I'm here, in Chloe's room, surrounded by the innocent artifacts of childhood, and I am terrified. What should I do? How do I prove a negative? How do I prove my innocence when science, however flawed, seems to be his star witness? Later, he emerged. The anger had subsided, replaced by a weary, profound sadness that was somehow worse. We stood in the hallway, two ghosts in our own home. I would never cheat, I whispered, the words raw. I told him about the list I'd started, a frantic scrawl of ideas, another test, a different lab, a genetic counselor. I don't want to hear it right now, he said, holding up a hand. The gesture was a wall. We agreed to talk more tomorrow. He said he still loves our daughter, and he wouldn't lock me out again. The small concessions felt like life rafts in a stormy sea. I asked him to hug me, a pathetic attempt to bridge the chasm between us. He did. His arms around me felt familiar and foreign all at once, a heartbreaking echo of a closeness we might never get back. I'm so scared I won't be able to convince him. I just want the ground to stop shifting beneath our feet. How can I be a good wife, support the man who is clearly drowning in his own pain, while simultaneously fighting to prove I'm not the monster he thinks I am? The days that followed were a strange, tense purgatory. We moved around each other like polite roommates, the shadow of the test looming over every silent meal, every stilted conversation about the weather. I threw myself into research, my list of potential tests and specialists growing into a manifesto of my desperation. Mark was understandably distrustful, a part of him still braced for the confession he was certain would come. He did apologize, once, for the way he'd acted, for locking me out. You didn't deserve that, he said, and I cried because I didn't need the apology. I needed his belief. He agreed to the tests, but with a grim finality. If every test comes back and you cheated, he warned, his voice low, then I'm going scorched earth. The term was so violent, so final. I agreed, my heart a frantic bird in my chest, because I had nothing to fear. The truth was on my side, wasn't it? We started with new, legally observed blood paternity tests. We gave our samples under the watchful eye of a clinic technician, the process cold and impersonal. But wait for the results was an agony. We also scheduled an appointment with a chimerism specialist, a possibility I dug up from the deepest corners of the internet, a faint, bizarre hope that my body held a genetic secret that could explain everything. We never made it to that appointment. The new test results came back, and the world, which I thought had already ended, simply fell off its axis. The paternity test was once again negative, but the maternity test was the one that stopped time, the one that I'd insisted on as a dramatic gesture to prove my utter transparency. I was not Chloe's biological mother. The room tilted. The doctor's words were a distant hum. Genetic non-maternity. Extremely rare. Likely a hospital mix-up. Mark's hand found mine, his grip tight. Our previous war forgotten in the face of this new, unimaginable cataclysm. I wasn't a cheater. I was the victim of a cosmic, horrific error. A police officer came to our house, his calm, professional demeanor a stark contrast to our shattered state. We gave our statements, our words tripping over each other. We were suing the hospital. The place where I had labored, where I had pushed and screamed and brought a life into the world, had given me the wrong one. I had my husband back, the suspicion in his eyes replaced by a gut-wrenching guilt and a unified protective fury. But my whole world was still upended. The relief of being vindicated was drowned in a tidal wave of new, more profound terror. Where was my biological daughter? Was she okay? Was she loved? Was she even alive? The questions were a torment, playing on a loop in my mind every second of the day. I started sleeping in Chloe's room again, but now for a different reason. I was so afraid she would be taken from me. The little girl I had nursed, whose scraped knees I had kissed, whose first steps I had cheered, was not of my body, but she was of my soul. She was my daughter in every way that truly mattered. And yet a part of me was screaming into the void for another little girl, a ghost, my own flesh and blood lost to a bureaucratic mistake. We are trying to keep it quiet. The last thing we need is a media scandal. Our private tragedy splashed across tabloids, Chloe's innocent face becoming a spectacle for gawkers. She deserves a normal life. She is a bright, funny, kind-hearted kid who loves unicorns and astronomy, and she is not a story to be consumed. But the silence is a heavy blanket, smothering us. How do we ever tell her? We can't tell her now. She's too young, and the secret would be everywhere in a day. But we will have to tell her something. The weight of that future conversation is a constant pressure on my chest. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. My mind spins with impossible scenarios. Maybe we could get a bigger house, a strange blended family under one roof. It's a naive, crazy dream born of desperation. The reality is likely to be messy and painful. I've scoured the internet, looking for others who've lived this nightmare, looking for a support group for parents of children who were switched at birth, but I find nothing but tabloid articles and sensationalized fiction. We are alone in this surreal hell. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. From Mark's perspective, I need to say my piece. My wife's story found its way onto the internet, and with it, 1,000 judgments of me. They call me a monster, an abuser. They don't understand the slow, corrosive poison of doubt. Have you ever been down a self-doubt rabbit hole? It's not a logical place. It's even less logical when you have the entire internet whispering in your ear, confirming your deepest insecurities. After COVID, I lost myself. I got fat. I fell into a depression I couldn't shake. I stopped feeling like a man, like a person worthy of love. My wife, she stayed beautiful. She stayed vibrant and whole. I was certain she had made a mistake, that she looked at me and saw failure. I found myself in online groups, spaces full of men who had been cheated on, who had lost their kids, their homes, everything. It was a chorus of bitterness and warning. And then I read a post from a guy whose first clue was the same as mine. He and his wife had blue eyes, but their son had brown. A simple high school biology fact. I felt a fool for not seeing it sooner. I didn't want to believe it. I made my own post under a throwaway account outlining my fears. The response was unanimous. She's cheating. Law up. Don't confront her. She'll just hide it better. The seed of suspicion, once planted, grew into a venomous vine, choking out everything else. I got the test, a secret, shameful act. I didn't really think it would come back negative. I thought it would quiet the voices in my head. But it didn't. It came back negative. The bottom dropped out of my world. The feeling of betrayal was a physical sickness. I pulled away from my wife, from my daughter, because the pain of looking at them was too acute. I tried to find evidence of an affair, searching for a ghost, and found nothing, which somehow felt even more sinister. Proof she was clever, a skilled liar. I got a second test. When it confirmed the first, I snapped. The anger was a white-hot fire burning away the last of my reason. If you've ever been cheated on, you know the feeling. This righteous, world-ending rage. I wanted her to leave because I couldn't bear to watch the slow-motion destruction of my life that everyone online had predicted. I was scared of losing my child, my home, the woman I loved. When she denied it, the anger intensified. I just wanted the truth. It took me a few hours to calm down. When she came to me with her list of tests, a plan to fight for us, I saw a flicker of the woman I married. I tried to keep my cool. I know I was wrong about the affair, but so was everyone else in my ear. The truth we uncovered was something none of us could have ever imagined. Our child is genuinely not biologically mine. The possibility of a switch at birth never even crossed my mind. It was the stuff of Lifetime movies, not real life. I've been through a messed up time, and I don't think getting angry one time because I was convinced the foundation of my life was a lie makes me a monster. And for me again, he's not a monster. He's not an abuser. He's the man I love, who got lost in a dark place and is fighting his way back to me. And he's not fat. He's the handsome boy from the library, and I will love him until the day I die. We have a long, painful road ahead, a journey to find the truth and somehow piece together two broken families. But we will face it together. This situation will not break our marriage. It has reforged it in a fire we never asked for, but one we will now walk through side by side.